Hello, I'm Olive from Frinton Free Church, and it's my privilege again to bring you the thought for the day. In a book I was given many years ago, I read of an old poem which tells of a woman, and I read now, who was walking through a meadow one day. As she strolled along, meditating on nature, she came upon a field of golden pumpkins. In the corner of the field stood a majestic, huge oak tree. The woman sat under the oak tree and began musing about the strange twists in nature. Why tiny acorns on huge branches and huge pumpkins on tiny vines? She thought, surely God has made a mistake in creation. He should have put the small acorns on the tiny vines and the large pumpkins on the huge branches. Before long, the woman dozed off in the warmth of the late autumn sunshine. She was wakened when a tiny acorn bounced off her nose. Chuckling to herself, she amended her previous thinking. Maybe God was right after all. Do you know, as we read through the Bible over Israel's long history, we see that God was leading his chosen people all the way. Exodus 13 verses 17 to 18 recalls, when Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them on the road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest way from Egypt to the Promised Land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them along a route through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. A very roundabout route indeed, but God had his reasons, and the fact that the journey to the Promised Land took so long was due to their disobedience and not God's faithlessness. We could recount many other times in God's word when the people questioned his ways, only to find that he was right all along. I think we'd all agree wholeheartedly in principle that God knows best, especially when we're thinking about others. But when things happen in our lives or around us, we can sometimes be tempted to question, Lord, what are you doing? Or is it only me? I'm reminded of a student many years ago who was very upset at not gaining the grade she needed for her chosen university course, and so she took them again and entered university a year later. It so happened that in her group was the guy who she later married, someone she wouldn't have got to know had she entered the year before, and now they are actively involved in the work of God's kingdom, and she thanks God for that disappointment. Of course, we don't always see the reasons for things that happen, but that is where we have to exercise our faith in God, believing he doesn't make a mistake or miss an opportunity to bring us closer to him. Some 50 plus years ago, Cyril and I went through an extremely difficult time, which ultimately completely changed the direction of our lives. But in hindsight, we can see God's hand and leading. And it has to be said, we haven't seen the end of that episode yet. Everything that happens in our lives, situations that arise, even those beyond our control, and dare I say mistakes that we've made along the way, God can use them all to bring us closer to him and to be used in his service. I feel that as we acknowledge our mistakes, it makes us more tolerant of other people. Stops us acting like the Pharisees, really. You're spared my talk ending in song, as my accompanist is indisposed at the moment. But the words of the old hymn, based on Isaiah chapter 43, verses 1 to 5, how firm a foundation, ye saints of the Lord, comes to mind, which says it all really. I read from verses 2 to 5. Fear not, I am with you. Oh, be not dismayed. For I am your God, and will still give you aid. I'll strengthen you, help you, and cause you to stand upheld by my righteous, omnipotent hand. In every condition, in sickness, in health, in poverty's veil or abounding in wealth, at home and abroad, on the land, on the sea, as your days may demand, shall your strength ever be. When through the deep waters I call you to go, the rivers of grief shall not you overflow, for I will be with you in trouble, to bless and sanctify to you your deepest distress. When through fiery trials your pathway shall lie, my grace all sufficient shall be your supply. The flame will not hurt you, my only design, your dross to consume and your gold to refine. So when the going is tough, let's take Proverbs 3, 5 and 6 to heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will direct your paths. Do you know, in every situation, God knows far more about the people and circumstances involved than we can ever know. He alone sees the beginning from the ending. He alone knows how to create a master plan that provides for the good of all who serve him. God bless you all and have a lovely day. Bye.